today we want to talk about something called the death of the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've said many times, we never look at one piece of information and then run a mile with it. It's always about spotting trends and stacking probabilities in our favor. There's a really, really interesting YouTube animation done by a guy called Ray Dalio, who is the CEO and founder of the biggest hedge fund in the world, Bridgewater Associates, called The Changing World Order. And I would recommend anyone go and watch that because he does an amazing job laying out what's happening in the world. The premise is this. Ray looked at events that were happening in his lifetime, and they surprised him because they'd never happened before in his lifetime. So what he did is he looked back through history before he was born, and looked at what had happened throughout time, and he saw that there were patterns, and the same things actually happened over and over again. From that, he saw that there was the rise and decline of different empires over time, and they all followed a similar pattern. And you can see here just over, I think he looked at roughly around 500 years of history, and saw that the Dutch Empire had the rise, the top, and then the decline. And in the decline, it was then challenged by another power, another empire, which was the British Empire, that had the rise, the top, and the decline. That was then challenged by the US, that had the rise, the top, and that brings us to kind of current day. And all of these empires, they were analyzed through certain indicators, almost like looking at your health. So saying, look, by looking at your weight, what you eat, your vital signs,
lifestyle,
your lifestyle, you can have a decent idea of how long someone's going to live. It's not exact, it's not a perfect science, and there's obviously going to be some error in that judgment, but you get a good idea. Well, what Ray did is he looked at economies with the same view, and they all followed a very similar pattern, which is not surprising, really. Human nature doesn't change too much over time. So what that brings us to is the US is actually on the decline. Now, the US is the dominant power around the world. With that, it has the world's reserve currency, the US dollar. 70% of world transactions are done with the US dollar. And this was the same with the Dutch guilder and the British pound. And there was a shift. The pound declined, then the US dollar took over. The interesting thing now, when you look at the US, is it is hitting all of those points. And essentially, if you look at this this curve of the rise, the top, and then the decline, the US is in stage 5 of 6. This is the vital signs that it's projecting. Huge debt, that there's internal and external conflict. And they're really at a point now where they've got so much momentum down the hill, it's inevitable. It would be very, very unlikely that this would turn around. If they were near the top, possibly, there's a chance. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the world reserve currency, the US dollar, is also on the decline and under attack as well. And if you think, well, yeah, that's just the US, remember, 70% of world transactions are done with the US dollar. This is going to have ripple effects around the world. It's going to affect everybody. Just going back to here, as you can see, when there's a crossover between these empires, this is rarely done peacefully. There is usually, when you look back through history, physical conflict. Whether that will happen in the future and it will be exactly the same, or whether it be more of a digital war, a trade war, we don't know exactly. But the current dominant power rarely gives up its position without a fight. There's a lot of powerful people that are wanting to remain in power. And with the US dollar being the dominant power, having the world reserve currency, if 70% of the world's transactions are done within that currency, they're pulling the strings and they are dictating what's happening. So you might think,
we've seen that, haven't we? We've seen it happen. So
yeah, you can see it happening. So this is one thing. This is zoomed out. Each one of these phases, are they equal in time? Probably not. Is it going to be, can we say the exact date when this is going to happen? No, but it's always good to know the position that we are in collectively, as you know, it's going to affect everyone in the world, and just be aware so that you can prepare yourself. So this is the first thing that for us, I guess, motivates us to say, there's something going on here. We need to look into this further. That's one piece of information.
Calling all US citizens. Check out the link in the description to get your free Goalbusters ebook.